This is my reaction to the UFC 320 press conference, which featured Magomed Ankalaev, Alex Pereira, Merab Dvalishvili, Corey Sandhagen, Yuri Prochazka, and Khalil Rountree Jr. And I'm going to go through all the highlights because this was a decent press conference. We haven't had many of them recently, but this one was pretty good. There was some back and forth. Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev were talking a bunch back and forth. Not a lot of it was translated. I'm going to get to the translators at some point in this video. But Merab and Sandhagen went back and forth as well. This was, as far as UFC press conferences go, maybe the bar has been lowered so much by just how boring the other ones have been. But this was decent. It was okay. I chuckled a couple of times at this. Merab is very funny, okay? He's a very funny little battle gnome, and he does make me chuckle at these press conferences. We're going to go through everything, starting with the first thing that Alex Pereira did. Alex Pereira immediately proves that Ankalaev has lied about him about turning down fights. This was a massive narrative for a lot of people on MMA Twitter as well, non-stop, that Pereira's been ducking Ankalaev and turning down fights. So Alex Pereira immediately, as soon as this begins, says, I haven't been turning down any fights whatsoever. Anytime the UFC offers me something, I tell them yes. And he asked Dana White to clear it up. And Dana White immediately did, said, this guy, he could be on holiday, he'll say yes, or something like that. So he's never turned down a fight, according to Dana White. So that just might be another Ali Abdelaziz lie that he's spewing on Twitter that Ankalaev now has to answer for. But you know what? I'm kind of done giving Ankalaev the out of, oh, it was Ali Abdelaziz that did it. You are in control of what Ali can and can't do on your account at the end of the day. And I don't know. But that's how it started. So Alex Pereira 1-0 up. I will say towards the end, he did get very agitated with Ankalaev, but more specifically, he got agitated at the team of Magomed Ankalaev. He kept pointing at, I guess, Ali Abdelaziz and Ankalaev's coach in the crowd and directing a lot of his messages to them. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But then, Merab and Sandhagen are going back and forth about all sorts. Okay? So, Merab says, I got to show him my wrestling Saturday, you know. And Corey goes, I thought we were striking. Corey Sandhagen. He has some decent one-liners in there for this press conference, but he just don't have the voice or the bass or the volume for it. I thought we were striking, bud. He says that to Merab, and Merab goes, this is MMA, brother. This, you know, this guy should take down. I do everything, brother. This is MMA. But Merab has been saying in the build-up that he's going to strike with Corey Sandhagen. So I guess that's where Corey was coming from. But then Merab said, and Merab's lack of English is so funny to me, man. Sandhagen, of course, said in the build-up that he's going to shoot on Merab. And Merab heard that as, you said you're going to shoot me, which is not... There was no assassination threat from Corey Sandhagen. That's not the case. But Merab was like concerned about this. But you said, brother, in the build-up, you said you're going to shoot me. Which is insane because Sandhagen never said that he was going to shoot Merab. I mean, that would be a decent game plan to take out Merab Dvalishvili. I'm going to be honest. That would be, you know, you don't need the journaling for that. Corey Sandhagen don't need to write that one in his diary to remember it. That would be a golden game plan to just go out there and just, you know, really take out Merab. But there you go. He didn't say he was going to shoot you, Merab. He said he's going to shoot takedowns on you and mix it up. But Merab says nobody gives him problems in the striking yet. Nobody, I fight everybody. Yeah, and although all of these Sean O'Malley twice, I beat him and nobody can do shit. And he's getting amped. Merab's amped up and everybody, and he's getting all hyped up and the crowd's getting behind Merab. I like Merab at the presses these days, you know. He does make it interesting. And then Sandhagen says, not happening, Merab. Sure thing, Merab. It's not fucking happening, bro. You shot 60 times on Merab. I mean, on Yan. And then he gets silenced out again. He messed up his line. It's all good, Corey. It happens to the best of us. You know what I mean, mate? He says, you shot 60 times on Merab. Yan. Because he shot 60 times on Yan. It's not like you strike the entire time, Merab. You literally shot, on average, I think he shot like 2 takedowns a minute on Yan. Which is insane because he basically failed all of them. That was the sign that this guy's cardio was out of this fucking world. But then Merab goes back at him and just overtalks him. And now he brings up some craziness, which is interesting to see at a UFC press conference for a world championship fight. But Merab starts saying he's snapped. He knows Sandhagen's talking a bit of shit at him. So he's snapped and he's going low. Okay? And he says, "You posting your balls picture on OnlyFans. How dare you talk to me?" And this, "How dare you talk to me? You posting your balls on OnlyFans. How dare you talk to me?" And Sandhagen, who I don't think did. Maybe he did. I think he just does OnlyFans as like extra content, but he doesn't actually do the OnlyFans part of it. But he starts playing into it. I guess, I don't know if he didn't do that. He just said that he did it as like a really dry, witty, sarcastic humor Sandhagen type of way. So Sandhagen starts grinning like, okay, did he believe that fucking story? So he starts playing into it and says, what did he say? I made $2 million on that. I made $2 million off of that, Merab. Which is interesting, you know. So he starts playing into it. I don't know how Sandhagen needs to realize that may get taken as completely serious by the broader public of MMA, which is really interesting because they aren't going to get all of the context for that, Sandhagen. So he's really playing into this role as the OnlyFans man whore of the UFC, which is really interesting. But Sandhagen, Merab's pissed at him for that. He don't want to be talked to by an OnlyFans person, you know, unless it's that OnlyFans woman that he constantly collaborates with, in which case he's okay with it, which is interesting for Merab. But Merab goes off again. How dare you talk to me? And then Merab says, "I saw the pictures. Your balls are very small." So Merab's up there talking about the size of Sandhagen's balls. So maybe there are pictures, because I don't know how he's seen them. I ain't seen them. I ain't fucking gone looking up any of them. I didn't even know that was real. Maybe it is. But Merab says, "I saw the pictures. Your balls are very small." And Corey goes, "You're right, Merab. They are pretty small. They're pretty small, Merab. They are. Yeah, they're pretty small, man." And then Merab says, Yes, they are. I have Georgian balls." And the crowd goes nuts. This is the Bantamweight World Championship trash talk we're talking about here, guys. Okay? "I have Georgian balls. Yes, your balls are very small." And then that's that. So that's a really interesting fucking back and forth that I didn't expect from Merab and Sandhagen at the presser. And then Corey says, "You know, we're going to be striking no matter what. That's what we're doing, man. We're going to be striking no matter what. Merab's a fucking liar anyway, dude. He's a fucking liar, dude. We're going to be striking. He's got to have no choice, buddy. He can't take me down, and if he does, I'll get right back up." Which I'm interested by. I'm interested by this matchup for sure. So, you know, they're going back and forth. And then Pereira's still on the fucking UFC PI shit with Ankalaev. He ain't let that shit go since their 1-to-1 that they had. "You were hired in at the UFC PI. You know, I think you were hired in at the UFC PI. You talk a lot of shit on Twitter, all of this." So Pereira's still on that about Ankalaev. And Merab says, gets asked a question about hitting 100 takedowns, breaking the record. "I'm looking for another record. Yeah, whatever it is, you know. Sometimes I think I speak English, but sometimes I forget." Merab is funny, man. I wish he was like a nasty KO artist to go along with it, but he is funny. He does grow on you, Merab. It's hard to hate Merab. You can hate his style and what he's done to some of your favorite fighters on the roster, but you just can't hate him as a person, really. He's a good dude, you know. He's an innocent guy. He starts saying something like, "Yes, sometimes I think I speak English, but sometimes I forget, brother." And he starts talking about this. And Ankalaev gets in there. Big Ank is there. And I don't know, he said he was going to bring something big to the press conference. I didn't hear it at all. I think he was talking about his fucking nose. But Ankalaev says he got rattled by the boos a little bit. That's true. Now, Pereira gets rattled about his teammates in the crowd because he kept fucking looking at him. They might have been gesturing to Alex in the crowd. I don't know. But Ankalaev was, he definitely felt the boos because he kept stopping and going and waiting to talk again. So then he changed what he was answering. The translations were pretty bad in my opinion because I kept hearing Ankalaev say about 20 seconds of a response. And then the translator would give you a one-liner that took about 4 seconds. So I'm not sure if we heard everything Ankalaev had to say. But He said, I'm going to punish your boy. I'm going to beat him up like he stole something from me. Which is interesting from Ank. You know, there's some decent trash talk from him there. Definitely going back and forth. And then Yuri and Khalil are both asked about each other's styles. In my opinion, I'm going to jump to this right now. They should have asked Yuri and Khalil about Ankalaev's tweets. Khalil was nearly in tears about Ankalaev talking shit about him at the JRE. The fact that no reporter asked Khalil, what do you think about what Ankalaev's been saying on Twitter compared to how he's been acting in real life? And same thing to Yuri as well, because he's had some things to say, and Ankalaev's been tweeting about him too. So they should have asked Yuri and Khalil, because they could have had a decent, like, Ankalaev versus everyone situation, which would have set up future fights for the winner of Yuri versus Khalil if it ends up going down that way, or they just could have made it a little bit more interesting. That's a little pet peeve I have with the questions that they had. But they said, what was the next bit? Yuri and Khalil were both asked about that, and Khalil calls Yuri wild and unpredictable, so it's hard to really know. And Yuri was saying he's defensive, he's very defensive, but he's very open for things, and he never said let's go for that yet. He did it eventually at the end, but we were waiting for it the whole time, and he was teasing it. He was teasing the release of let's go for that. You know what I mean? So he says that, and then Big Ank says that the crowd doesn't like me because I beat all their favorite fighters, and I'm like, dude, our favorites aren't Johnny Walker, fucking, who else? Johnny Walker, Alexander Rakic, Anthony Smith, and who? Like, those aren't our favorite fighters. Now, fair play, you beat Pereira the first time. Like, they hate me because I beat their favorite fighter in Alex Pereira, but there ain't a list of, like, my fucking favorites that Ankalaev's gone through. I don't really hate him. I'm just indifferent to him because I can't understand him, and I don't. But this week has been better for him. The no Sharma stuff. He said it at this presser as well. I don't mind it from him. You know, Big Ank's got some game on Twitter here and there, and he supports my boy Big Tom, so the big boys are supporting each other, you know. So I've come around a little bit to Ank, but I'm just indifferent, man. I'm very indifferent to him. I can't relate at all to that thing. But yeah, Ank talking like he's not the champ, which is interesting. He was saying something like, I'm going to prove people wrong, and I'm going to answer all the questions people have about me, and I'm thinking, dude, you've already beaten Alex, right? You're talking like you're the up-and-comer, which may be a good mindset for him. Honestly, might be a good mindset from him. I just tweaked my back a little bit there. That was rank. And then translation was a mess. They started going back and forth with each other, and even Dana was like, hold on. Whoa, hold on, guys. Come on. Because they kept going back and forth, and even the translators were trying to jump in the middle of it and do it live. Not understanding that all four of you are now going to be talking over each other while we're trying to listen at home, which was fucking awful to listen to. But that was that. And then Pereira was making some excuses. Needs to be mentioned. Needs to be mentioned that Pereira was making some excuses. And he's had these. He said he wasn't 100% in the first fight and broke his hand and all of this. So he was making some. Even if you're a Pereira fan, you have to admit it, he was. Your manager is not going to be there to help you. Sharma, he said. But he was talking, I wasn't 100%. And I was the worst version of myself. And that's all you could do to me. Or something like that is what he said. And then Pereira also says, I wasn't feeling well that day. And I'm much better now. No technical corrections needed. That could age terribly. No technical corrections needed. I'm sure he's made some, but he was basically putting the first fight's performance down to nothing but his health and his feeling towards the fight. So that was interesting. And he keeps pointing at Ankalaev's team. He's not talking to Ankalaev as much. He's pointing at these two guys in the crowd, and they never pan the camera to him. But I imagine they were like going like this and gesturing at him and laughing at him and pointing maybe. So I don't know. Because he kept pointing like that, like viciously pointing at him. Viciously pointing. He's not John Jones. Eye pokes. Ank says, you are very nervous. Please be patient. Calm down. It's going to be this Saturday and all of this. Pereira back to mad at manager. And then Ankalaev says, it's going to be just me and you in the cage. Relax. Which is interesting. Then Yuri says that Pereira's looking better this time around. And the crowd cheers it. But he's focused on Khalil before talking about who he's going to fight next for the title. Khalil feels like he's earned the fans' respect from the Alex fight, which is something that he said. So he got a few cheers for that, a few woos and cheers. He's gained the fans' respect, and he respects him back. And then Belbita asks Merab, Diana Belbita, need to mention this. Good questions. Good questions. Probably the better questions from the crowd. She had a lot of time on the mic, which a lot of people might be like, why is she getting so many questions? But they were good. So I was like, dude, keep this going. She's asking relevant questions. And then she even got back to the OnlyFans thing and was like, she almost thought, oh, that was an interesting thing. And here's a crazy thing to even, this is how fucking low the MMA media have set the bar. I'm congratulating Diana Belbita. Beautiful, by the way. Great smile. Looks amazing. But I'm congratulating her because she literally saw the press conference and adjusted a question based on what was being said on stage. That's the bare minimum at this point. She saw Merab and Sandhagen were going back and forth about OnlyFans and thought, that was a fun back and forth. Let's provoke that again. And then we did get another moment out of that. But first, she was asking, oh no, there you go. She was asking Merab, and she asked all the previous questions about Yuri and Khalil. And I wish they would have asked about Yuri and Khalil, how they felt about Ankalaev's tweets about him. Because Khalil nearly cried on JRE about that. And if you know ball, you would be like, we got to ask Khalil about this. He might cry on stage. You know what I mean? But she asked Merab, how do you know about Corey's OnlyFans? Are you subscribed? And Merab starts laughing and chuckling. And then Merab says, somebody send me these pictures, okay? I don't know. Somebody send them to me. So someone's sending Merab pictures of Corey Sandhagen's balls, which is interesting. That's a really interesting mental warfare. I don't know if Corey's got minions out there that he's told to do his bidding. I'm not sure. But I didn't know there was a picture of Corey's balls going around. So, but all Corey's have a set of balls to him. So, yeah, UK slang there. Either way, where was I here? I'm distracted by the talk of the OnlyFans subscriptions. Merab saying he's a subscriber. Oh, yeah, Corey said he's a subscriber. Merab's a subscriber, guys. I've got the emails. His account is the Machine69, and it kind of got faded out because he doesn't have the volume. And I do think the volume was bad. Anyone else thought your volume for the microphones was very low? Even for Yuri as well, they had it very, very low. Like the translators were almost twice the volume of any of the fighters on the stage, which was really bad audio design. Only a $1 billion company that just signed a $7.7 billion deal with Paramount. You can't expect good audio design, guys. You can't expect a test audio run of the microphones. Don't be crazy, guys. So that was interesting. He said his account name's the Machine69. I've got the emails. I know he's subscribed to my OnlyFans. Corey really playing into that. And then is Yuri going to get a PhD? That's the next thing. I know he just got his graduate or degree from university in a bunch of different stuff. He just graduated. And he's asked if he was going to get his PhD next. And he said it's very important to improve life evolving, and we have to make sure to evolve and all of this type of stuff he was talking about, and saying that it's important to improve your mind, which I think is smart. Is that not smart? I feel like fighters get to this point where they don't need to learn anything. So I feel like that might be something to combat CTE. I don't know if that would work at all, if there is any science behind it, but I kind of get Yuri's thinking. Like, you're training your body all day long. Challenge your mind. He's actually just doing this to challenge his mind, to stimulate his brain in a way to be like, this isn't just a thing that gets hit in the head over and over again. So I'm worried about his commitment to the game because of how much he's been doing that type of stuff, but I understand it. Like, if you were a fighter and you've taken a lot of damage and you were worried about CTE, you do want to keep your mind up to date and challenge it and really be there thinking hard about things. You know what I mean? Like, it probably does have some effect. I'm not sure if it will, but, Yuri's all about that evolving as a man type stuff and developing himself and all of that. Yuri says he's going to go through his opponent and then he drops it. Let's go for that. And that was great. I was waiting for it the whole time. And it took a while to get to it, but he dropped it at the end. Let's go for that. Which was great. And then Khalil says, you heard the man. Let's go for that. So he's playing into it as well. Merab wants to move up but doesn't want to fight Volk. That was one of the final things said as well. Even Alex Pereira, I think at the end, mentioned something about the fans chose my shorts. That was the last thing that I heard. Some of the other stuff was non-translated, so I just skipped it. But Merab wants to move up but doesn't want to fight Volk, which is interesting. So he said he wants to move up at some point. He's focused on becoming a GOAT of his division, and there was conversations of him already being the GOAT of his division, and how much more does he have to do? And he was saying, I think, I just need to keep beating these contenders. I want to move up to 145, but I respect Volkanovski so much, I don't want to fight him. Which is interesting, but Volk's not going to be around forever, so there is an opportunity there for him to try and move up. I don't know how he would do against like a Diego Lopez. I do think the featherweights are a different size of human in terms of finishing potential and like athleticism and explosiveness. But it could be interesting to see Merab's lighter man skill in grappling move up to that division. I mean, Evloev's been successful, and you know, it'd be interesting to see how it goes. And then Khalil said, no, not Khalil. That was it. And then they did the face-offs. Khalil looked massive in the face-offs, but he had these, like, lames are doing this these days, where they have these, like, 4-inch, like, they're literally standing on, like, slabs of concrete on the bottom of their shoes. Like, these massive, chunky bottom shoes. I was like, what the fuck? Khalil's supposed to be shorter than this against Yuri. Still shorter than him, but I was like, there's going to be a difference here. Yuri was, like, wearing Converses. Listen, I've worn pumps before, but Khalil had these, like, fucking chunks on the bottom of his feet, which was insane. So that probably described why he looked so big, or explained why he looked so big next to him. And that was that. They had a bit of trash talk at the face-off. Sandhagen was saying, I'm going to knee you in your face, Merab. I'm going to knee through your face, Merab. He was saying that to his face. But little does he know that Merab's intention is to get his face as close to Corey's knees as possible, shooting for takedowns. So that could be the move that Sandhagen's going for. We'll see if he pulls it off. That will age very well. Because if he is going to TKO Merab, it will likely be with a knee up the middle. And that was it. Diana Belbita asked good questions overall. There wasn't much else to the presser than that. Alex Pereira said, I don't want to go back to the tire shop. I don't know if that was a false translation, but a pretty legitimate Twitter page was saying that. So, not a meme Twitter page or anything. Said, I don't want to go back to the tire shop. And he looked him right in his eyes, and Ankalaev hit him with a no shama again. So, yeah, that was that. That was a decent presser. I thought it was okay. That was good. You know, Merab's growing on me a bit. Ankalaev and Pereira were getting jittery. Pereira is annoyed at Ankalaev more than Ankalaev seems to care about Pereira. But I think Pereira's more angry at his team. So I'd love to have seen what they were doing in the front row to provoke that, because he kept looking at them. Like in the middle of everything, he kept looking at them, and they were probably doing something. So yeah, that was that. That was all. Great presser overall. Looking forward to the fights. A couple more questions for Sandhagen. I felt like he was cooking up a bit of back and forth with him and Merab and trying to sell it. So I would have maybe downgraded 1 or 2 questions apiece for Alex and Ankalaev. Maybe one more. And then also ask Yuri and Khalil about Ankalaev's tweets. That's all they were missing from like a good best case scenario press conference from what this could have been. And maybe Body Cam Pfeiffer should have came in with a siren on his head and, I don't know, arrested Ankalaev for some shit. I'm not sure. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Looking forward to the fights this weekend.